What's up, everybody? It's Tyler Doe here. Normally don't do face cam videos like this, especially if I don't have my girlfriend, but I figured I'd just get one in because I really wanted to talk about two seasonal anime that's getting a lot of hype right now. I think that these shows are actually in the running for the best slice of life anime of the season, so I just thought it'd be fun to talk about them, and I just recently watched the first episode of both to kind of give my first impressions and figure out which one, just right off the bat, that I thought was the best. So the two shows that we're going to be talking about today is Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out, and Rent a Girlfriend. So right off the bat, let me give you a summary of both of the shows. So Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out is basically, both these shows are pretty easy to tell what they're about just based off the title. So, there's not much to say, but Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out is about Uzaki, who wants to hang out with her senpai, which is Shinichi Sakurai, which, oh my god, I know he's her senpai because she only says it 5,000 times. Throughout the show. She just continues to say senpai every 2 seconds, which is not really a flaw, it's just something that I noticed. Basically, it's just her wanting him not to be lonely, wanting to hang out with him, even though he doesn't want to hang out with her because he just kind of enjoys his alone time. If you want to see a better video describing this anime and talking about it, go check out this video here. It's by TK Dano. He did a really great job covering it, and it's actually one of the only videos that I've even seen of it before I watched the show myself. So yeah, basically about her wanting to hang out with him, and they get into some antics. Anyways, the second show is Rent a Girlfriend. Again, pretty self-explanatory, but it's about Kazuya, who gets broken up with by his girlfriend that had been dating him for a month. So he gets so desperate that he reaches out to a Rent a Girlfriend service and ends up meeting a girl named Chizuru. And he basically, he goes on a date with her. He thinks it goes great. And then he suddenly realizes that, oh wait, she's basically the PG version of a prostitute. She doesn't really like me, which should have been obvious to him, in my opinion. He's a college-age kid. He should have understood that. But yeah, he doesn't understand that, and so he ends up getting upset, leaving her one star. Again, somebody better has done a review on this. It was right here. This one. It was Evanito. He did a really great review and overview of the show, and again, he's the person that kind of inspired me to do that. But I wanted to do a video comparing the two because I think that they're similar in the sense that they are both of the same genre, the slice of life kind of genre. But I think that they're entirely different, and to me, one of them is clearly better than the other. So I just wanted to get into them a little bit. So first of all, let's cover the characters. So basically, in Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out, you have Uzaki-chan herself. Basically, in Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out, you have Uzaki herself, and then you've got Shinichi, who is actually kind of like me. He likes to do things by himself, likes to hang out by himself. He's not antisocial. It's just that he prefers to have some alone time, which I definitely can relate to that. And also, it's set in a college setting, which I really like. But yeah, basically the two characters, their dynamic is very much you can tell where the story's going, if that makes any sense. You know they're going to end up together. You know that, eventually he's going to start to really having her around. And even by the end of the first episode, he is already kind of wanting to hang out with her more often. He's already kind of wanting to spend time with her, which I thought was funny because I didn't think it was going to end that way. I thought we were going to have kind of a tsundere situation for the first, 5 episodes or so. But no, he already wants to hang out with her, which I thought was an interesting twist. But overall, I'm not super sold on their dynamic. Their dynamic was kind of basic. The only difference is, and this has been covered in a million other videos too, so don't let me fool you into thinking this is an original idea, is that Uzaki doesn't always react like a typical anime girl would. She will do things different. The part where they're doing the VR and something happens, she doesn't react like a typical anime girl and smack him in the face or anything, which again, this has been covered to death. But yeah, that's the only thing that's really interesting about her. Either way, I think they're both kind of bland and boring. Neither of them really stuck out to me. They were both just the stereotypical characters in these roles, other than a few small things that Uzaki does differently than her typical role. But the more interesting characters to me was definitely the Rent-A-Girlfriend characters because, well, first of all, inherently, they're just going to be better off than the Uzaki-chan because they have something extra going on in that she's a Rent-A-Girlfriend, She's not just a regular college student. She's a college student who is also a girlfriend for rent that this guy is hanging out with, and that's the only reason they know each other. So I found that whole dynamic to be far more interesting than Uzaki-chan, where they're just kind of like, oh yeah, we went to the same school before, and you're my senpai, whatever. Like, it just didn't seem as interesting to me. Whereas with Kazuya and Chizuru, I definitely felt like they had something more going on that was keeping me interested just based off of their characters alone and nothing else. But yeah, speaking of Kazuya, I think that he's interesting because he kind of doesn't act like I would think that a character in his role would act all the time. He definitely surprised me a few times in this episode, specifically whenever he writes the bad review and whatnot, because I was like, okay, well, surely he'll just realize that she was kind of, just leading him on and doing her job, and then he'll just kind of move on with his life, or maybe like try to go talk to her about it. But instead, he leaves her a really bad review, which I thought was really funny, because it was just like, dude, how can you not see that, like, of course that's what she's doing, that's her job, but for some reason he can't see that, which I like. And then Chizuru is interesting because she's got kind of like the dual personality thing going on, where maybe even tri-personality or multi-personality, and not just dual personality, even tri-personality, multi-personality too. You don't really know when she's being herself and when she's in character, I guess, because obviously she has a job to do and she's trying to fulfill that job by being a rent-a-girlfriend, but then obviously she's her own person with her own autonomy and she's going to act a certain way whenever she's not working. So I found that whole dynamic to be really interesting. So as far as characters go, it's an obvious edge to Rent-a-Girlfriend. I mean, there's no contest, really. Rent-a-Girlfriend has far better characters, and there's a few other side characters in Rent-a-Girlfriend that liven things up a little bit too. That kind of segues really nicely into the story for both of the shows. In Rent-a-Girlfriend, the story is fire. I was so enthralled in the story. I was interested right off the bat. This show wastes no time getting into the story. They don't spend, half the episode giving you some sort of background on who the characters are. And they just really jump right into it. Immediately, he's getting broken up with by his girlfriend. Immediately, he's trying to figure out what he's going to do. He then finds the Rent-a-Girlfriend website. And yeah, they pretty much are on their first date within the first half of the episode. And I thought that was just a great idea, because I feel like sometimes shows take a little bit too long to get into things, and Uzaki-chan didn't necessarily do that, but I just feel like the show as a whole was way slower paced. Uzaki-chan, where it went wrong to me, it was just a little too bland, a little too boring, and then also I feel like they really did a lot of, there's no deep plot here, so we're just gonna use fan service, which, if you know me at all, I'm not a fan of that. I don't care about fan service. Like, if it happens here or there, who cares, really? But if it's like every other scene something's happening, like she's getting in a freaking massage chair, or standing on a platform that shakes, I'm not interested in any of that. It wasn't even funny at all to me. It was just like wasting time, essentially. So I think that definitely took away from the show. Whereas Rent-a-Girlfriend doesn't really have any fan service to be seen. I mean, there's the moment where they get caught under the covers, but that's like explained by the plot. They're trying to hide, right? And it didn't feel as forced to me, is what I'm trying to say, right? And then the whole dynamic between their families finding out about them, I thought was so funny, and it's a really good way, in my opinion, to make it to where they're kind of interconnected going forward. Like, you can't just move on with your life after that. Like, now in your family's eyes, you two are dating. It kind of makes... I was wondering how they were going to make it to where this would be a repeat thing. I thought he was just going to keep renting her over and over again. I didn't understand what they were going to do. But now they're kind of in each other's lives. And then at the very end, there's something pretty spoilery that happens that pushes that even further. Like, they're definitely going to be interconnected from now on. And so I thought that was really cool, the way they did all that. So as far as story goes, I think I definitely have to give the edge to Rent-a-Girlfriend again, because I was genuinely interested in this story start to finish, whereas in Uzaki-chan, I found myself like, that thing that you do sometimes whenever you're watching a subbed anime where you're like, I have no clue what they've been saying for the last 2 minutes because I've just been zoning out. That was happening to me a lot during this show. I kept on having to go back, skip back 5 seconds at a time and see what they were talking about, because I just couldn't keep up with it. It just wasn't interesting enough to keep my attention. Whereas Rent-a-Girlfriend, I never had that problem. I was this sounds so silly to say because the show's called Rent-a-Girlfriend, but I was interested the entire way through with Rent-a-Girlfriend. So I thought that it was a far more interesting concept in general. Like I said earlier, I think inherently just the idea of them not just being normal college students and them having that weird quirky dynamic of her being a Rent-a-Girlfriend, I think that definitely adds to the fact that I like the story more. But either way, just the characters and the way they interact and and the way that the story is going so far, I'm definitely interested. I will say, I watched one episode of these shows each just to prepare myself for this video, just to make this video. I wanted to watch the second episode of Rent-A-Girlfriend so bad as soon as I was done. Like, I almost just binged 2 episodes because I just liked the story that much. Like, I was definitely interested to see what happened next. Whereas Uzaki-chan, I will probably not continue watching this show. Like, I did not think it was good. Sorry, Dano. I know this is gonna crush your soul, but it wasn't good to me. It didn't capture my interest at all. I think that it's preying upon those people that just really want like cute little girls with big assets, which, by the way, I made that joke up. Dano stole it from me.
Gigantic assets.
I think that's pretty much the only reason that they made this show. It just wasn't good, in my opinion. I mean, and obviously that's just my opinion. Some people might love it, like I know Dano loves it, but to me it was definitely the far inferior show to Rent-A-Girlfriend. One other thing I wanted to cover real fast was setting. I feel like Uzaki-chan and Rent-A-Girlfriend did a good job in this sense. I like it whenever a slice of life show goes a few different places in the show and they don't just stick with like 1 or 2 little areas. In Uzaki-chan, they start out at the school, then they go to the movies, then they go to the electronics store. So I like that. And in Rent-A-Girlfriend, obviously they go to like 3 or 4 other places too, like the aquarium, the hospital, you know, the school. I mean, they go around places. So I like that in both shows. So I think they're kind of tied as far as setting goes. And obviously art style and animation, they both look the same. So I'm gonna give these shows a rating now, but keep in mind that I only watched 1 episode. So, you know, don't take too much stock into this. This is more of a first impression video than anything. But so far, based off of the first episode, I would go ahead and give Rent-A-Girlfriend an easy 7.5 out of 10. I'll definitely be watching the second episode soon, maybe right after I finish this video. And then as far as Uzaki-chan goes, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10. It was perfectly average. Wasn't good, wasn't bad, just average, you know, whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you guys in the next video, and take it easy until then. Bye.